Y'all ready for some news? Let's do it. Wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. The good news, the bad news, and the other shit. Good news, bad news, other shit. You don't know exactly what's happening because it's a time of building, everybody. It's a time people are watching. Things are mobilizing. What's happening with Kavanaugh? What's happening at the White House? A bunch of things are looking a little crazy as we head into the midterm elections. But there's a bunch of things that seem to be out on the fence. Crazy, crazy world. First of all, we got to acknowledge the storm disaster that hit the panhandle of Florida. Oops, technical difficulties.
Oh, no, it is.
It's the elves.
Yeah, it's the elves, man.
Hey, the storm damage that hit the panhandle of Florida was unprecedented. Once again, seemingly catching us, I don't know. I think there's a question of what is to be the standard in terms of preparedness for disaster. And I could just say I'm personally not satisfied, and that's what's coming up. This recent storm disaster that once again took us by surprise, seemingly, in Florida, parts of Georgia, once again exposes a system that seems unable to respond appropriately. I guess I take this attitude because I spent, again, 30 years as a physician. And so in medicine, we're trained that you're supposed to be anticipating the first 5 complications, at least. You don't get caught unawares because you say, what's the worst things that could happen?
Right. And
let's plan for those. See, but that's why I don't understand what's happening in terms of our national disaster preparedness. Even though we have supposedly this huge military, we're spending all this money. When it comes time to utilizing this military and the money, that's where they seem to be unwilling or slow. And I don't understand it. If we were grading physicians in an emergency room, how they were responding to heart attacks and gunshots,
Right. I hate to say it, man. It's all about the money. At the state level, it's all political. And you know this, man. You know this. Politics is at the state level. It's about who's who and where you put your money at. And most of the money, unfortunately, are they going to put a large cachet in for something that may happen periodically? Or are they going to put this large sum of money in their cachet? And it says, we're all ahead of this. The numbers are there. The analytics are there. They've been studying this for the longest. And you want to try to
you would just think they'd be ready. This is not our first national disaster, right? It's not.
They're not going to do it, man.
It's getting to be a thing where we're having disasters. So you would think we would learn something, or at least have some kind of an analytical response to what was done poorly in the previous, what could be done better, and bringing that same information forward. But that doesn't seem to be happening. And I think people should really stop and think about that, because that's the one thing that's getting to me, once again with this recent one, was again the slowness of FEMA. And also the fact that they seem to be the ones who are grading their own performance. They keep giving themselves good grades. They keep saying, oh, we did this. Oh, we did that. Oh, we did. While what we appear to be seeing is wholly inadequate.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Which sometimes what they call that the natural evolution of limited reaction, conditional reaction. depending on your zip code, your area code. Matter of fact, it may depend on what is the actual
I'm
value.
glad I'm here in Los Angeles. I hate to say it. Even being black, just being in Los Angeles means I'm going to get a faster response to Florida. Florida, okay. See, you learning, it's not my classism, it's America's classism.
Absolutely, and that's the way it's been.
Wow, shoot. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, the other thing in the news that's actually shocking everyone is the Saudi assassination. Looks to be the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi in Istanbul, lured to the Saudi consulate.
Yep.
As I know, those are considered international their territory. Like, so lured there and then killed.
Yep.
And I'm not even sure if that's actually if you get to, since it's on their land.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that even goes into
No, it does.
distinction, because you're allowed to do crimes in your own consulate.
No,
as far as I know.
The statement becomes is that you got $100 billion deal with the Saudis.
That's what Trump said.
Trump said you want to threaten this. Now let me just say this. I did, and I may be wrong in this, so I stand corrected. I did hear someone say we need to be self-sufficient and take care of our own. We need to be able to do our things and not let these countries leverage us. I remember all that conversation. But, I guess oil is the exception. I got it. I just wanted to make sure I understand.
One of the exceptions.
Well, hey, it's a big-ass exception, isn't it?
Yes, it's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Wow, I was going to say $110 billion. The president says he's sending Pompeo immediately to go over there to talk to the king. Have some shrimp.
You know what?
They don't eat shrimp.
Okay. First of all, I feel for the family. I'm not making light of family at all. What's the chances that within 1 to 5 years you see a film on this? Because there's so much content from the planes landing, the vans, everything's there.
Oliver Stone's probably working on it right now.
I'm telling you right now.
Right, he's already.
Right. I'm literally just sitting up here going
this is amazing stuff, you guys. I don't know. For those of you who didn't hear, he's really a now, at this point in time, see this because of the whole issue, but he's a U.S.-based journalist. In other words, he works for a U.S. company.
Right.
Overseas, though, covering Saudi Arabia.
I'm very critical with his postings about Saudi Arabia as it relates to having a democratic positioning on what he believes. He believes the people should choose their leaders. That's it. Now, I'm just going by what's reported. Now, I have no idea, but I can say this. If you want to follow the content on this, Mario, which I know you have. And
I guess you don't get to do anything because supposedly, as is often the case, the Turks had the place bugged. This is where it gets weird. And they don't really want to be embarrassed because everybody else knows the places are bugged. We bug all the places here. So everything's bugged. So I guess they were bold to think they could go in and do it. That gets you... That's a question. They didn't think the place was bugged when they were going to kill him and chop him up. But okay, all right, whatever. So let's assume either they didn't or else they didn't care because they were going like, well, it's our consulate. And by technical, whatever, international law agreements, whatever, it's their land. It's their sovereign, whatever. You get to have jurisdiction over that. So maybe they felt like they could bring him in and kill him and go like, well, we killed him inside our consulate. And, blah, 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 blah. Because right now they decide whether or not to let people come in.
Right. Now imagine, Mario.
Look around.
Imagine you're sitting next to a Jason Bourne type individual and you're in the consulate and somebody pipes into Jason and says, I wanted to let you know before you came here, there's 2 private planes that just lifted off with 2 teams of people heading here. Now, Jason Bourne, he know how to make it go away. But imagine that you're walking into a place and they're ahead of you. I mean, they're laying in wait. And simply within an hour and a half, they've done their business, taken off and gone. And there's no one to say who are these individuals from the airport checking.
Oh, there's somebody knows who they are. They all face ID, intelligence people. You know what I'm saying? That's what, you know. Okay, well, that's the story, because supposedly if the Turkish government had the place bugged and they have audio and video proof that he was killed, why didn't they do something when they was killed?
I have no idea.
Because of international law that says when you're in our consulate, it's the same reason why we have our torture centers overseas somewhere in a different country.
Yeah.
So that we can get away with torturing and say it was not in the U.S. So this is the way stuff is done.
Well, he must have done something.
Damn shame.
Because he left his phone with his, I believe it's his wife or his girlfriend. And so imagine that he was already kind of hesitant about what was happening and left and had his watch. They're reporting that his iWatch, his Apple Watch, was recording. So that they literally have all this hypothetical, or maybe it's real. I'm not sure. There's so much out there. I'm not sure where to separate the story from the content or just the inflammatory content analysis. I have no idea, man. I just know we're not gonna see Jamal for a while, right? He's done.
More to come on this one.
Rest in peace.
How you guys feeling about the Democratic candidate for 2020, where the surveys that are being released today say that the leading by more than double digits is Joe Biden as the potential Democratic front runner for the candidate? How do you guys feel about Joe Biden? I'm just saying, after a while, I understand, okay, the Democrats don't want to use the term impeach because it's been known. Their studies say that when you say impeach, or talk about impeach, it motivates Trump's base. I just don't get it. You know, you would think at some point in time, you would say, my 65 could beat your 35. So you would just motivate your own damn base and beat the hell out the other base. See? See, that's the part I understand. You would go like, my 65 beats your 35. You know, but they can't go there. So this whole passive policy leaves the Democrats and once again in a continuing, I've been saying this all along, they have nothing to stand on except that they're anti-Trump, and they're not even doing that. They're being so passive. Who's, you know, it's amazing. It's just simply amazing. So the big issue is who was going to be the Democratic candidate, and are the Democrats looking weak? And I'm just amazed. I also want to bring the point up about this whole going high thing. I don't even think it's a matter of going high. Have a platform. Have something that you stand for. They just are a big nothing, okay? Just a big nothing. And if they run Joe Biden against Trump, Trump is probably going to win. Man, I don't believe this. Can you believe this, Joe Biden? Why don't you run Hillary again?
Well,
Jesus Christ.
We can say this based on what we've seen project. Joe is a good man, but what you're saying is, do you believe they're a step out of time? And you know what I mean by this. You're fighting for what should
some
be
of them
versus where things should be going.
Okay. So that just like the Republican Party, see, what people have to understand is that both parties are in a state of flux. The state of flux that the Republicans are going through has to do with Trump. Okay, it has to do with Trump. It has to do with the movement of the GOP toward the right, and the Tea Party people taking control of different aspects. So that was changing it. But at the same time, the Democratic Party was being just as severely affected between the old guard and the new guard. And right now, you don't know who the Democratic Party is. You have people like Kamala Harris, okay, who give you a certain look and appeal. And then you have other folks. You have Nancy Pelosi. You have Chuck Schumer. You know, so who is what? Who is what is what? And I want to take this time to say, you might want to even be looking at Beto O'Rourke as being a stronger candidate than so far when I look around. So they talk about putting Beto O'Rourke, one of the upcoming female candidates.
So you like what you've seen or heard?
I'm just saying they look more like candidates that you can get behind to wage a campaign.
Right.
And I remember I'm saying that as a non-Democrat because I'm an indie. But as a person watching, I have to say they need to be taking at least a look at Beto O'Rourke because this type of candidate has more potential, I think, on the national platform.
I wonder how the wedge thing is always going to be don't pay attention to the indie movement. They know how to concoct the stories of you're wasting your time and money. It's not. It's not going to have the impact. And then they massage the indie movement as it's going to take away from what you want. So they've done a good job of fooling people. But I truly believe there's just going to be the slow movement of indie being able to leverage more. May not win out, but they will be able to. Well,
and the whole thing, Vic, too, is what is indie? See, what happens is this to me too. Those folks who don't come out and vote, who are registered Democrats, that's because their mindset is actually more indie. Why didn't they come out to vote? They're registered Democrats who are not satisfied with their candidates from their own party. Therefore, they're not motivated to participate. Okay, they're not. I mix pretty easily with that group.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
The only difference is I got out of my frustration, went on and just said, screw them. I'm going to go indie.
Well, I think
that still is my group.
Right.
If you were to say what is my peer group, it would be registered Democrats, most of whom are dissatisfied with their party.
Right. Yeah. Look, all I'm saying is, first of all, they already know that the well chest of money is not going to be in the indie movement. It's going to take something much bigger and broader for that to happen. That doesn't mean that they can't leverage, because the one thing I like about the indies is that they probably in sheer numbers have more power, but the money they probably don't.
See, this is where it's a catch-22, Vic. So you become an independent group, then you attract the money. Suddenly you're not so independent.
Right.
Okay, because now you're attracting all that same money, lobbying money that all the other groups attracted. And so therefore you're subject to the same influences. So we're going to see. One of the things that's stirring around out there to be seen is going to be the female backlash to the Kavanaugh confirmation. It's yet to be seen, and there's a lot of talk about it. In what form, shape, we're going to see the return of the women. Well, I have no doubt myself that the women are coming. The women are coming, and I'm sure that right now they are stirring in their seats, okay, angry and upset over this confirmation, and in many ways trying to determine what they think is going to be the best way to respond to this. But I don't think you've heard the last from the ladies at all. Previously, we saw worldwide political actions take place. And I think we're going to see more of that to come. We'll see. The elections are getting closer.
But here's the thing. One thing I do like about this, I'm not knocking maturity. Old traditional practitioners rely on speeches. Young folks or young energetic folks or young-minded folks rely on action initiatives. Two different things. I don't really pay attention to the speeches on both sides. I always go say, let me see where the money went. Where was it invested? And then how much does it keep spending? And one thing I know from both sides, they keep spending. Maybe this time the Republicans will spend a little bit more, but the time will come when the Democrats will spend a little bit more. And they've traded this off. So at the end of the day, they do the two-step. They'll blame it on the influx of people who are not from this country. They'll blame it over here, and that military war chest goes like this. You know, we need to have our initiatives put over here. You guys need this. And then you allow you to kind of sit back and say, make them point to the neighbor and question their authenticity, their ethnicity. They do a great job of doing this and being able to sit back and have you do the crab fight in the barrel. And they tend to say the slow folks fall for the okie doke. I said elections are not about when you elect. The election's about what happens after and right before the elections. And that's where the money flows. Just follow the money.
Well, we're going to find out. Are all the recent developments politically more likely to make you turn out to vote? Are you going to be getting out there and making sure you vote in these midterm elections because of Trump or Trump-affected issues? I'm curious. Again, so far the Democratic leaderships, their plan of action has been to not say the word impeach, not galvanize any of their forces for a fight. Is this the right way to proceed? I'm not so sure. We'll be finding out. Ladies and gentlemen,